Offset is going after boxing star Dean the Great after accusing him of trying to steal his girl. The drama exploded following a surprise social media link-up that quickly led to heated exchanges between both sides. Now attention is turning to a warning coming from Offset's camp. Offset and Finesse 2 Times were allegedly both at a Miami streamer party with Adrian Broner, Dean the Great, and others in attendance recently. Rappers, boxers, and streamers in the same room in Miami. Nothing about that lineup screams this will end peacefully. After footage of a fight breaking out at the event hit the internet, people immediately started speculating about what caused it. As caught by LiveB on Instagram, Dean Broner and Finesse walked into the party and made their way through the crowd. They were moving through the venue like they own the place, which, if you know anything about how these streamer events work, is exactly the kind of energy that gets broadcast live to tens of thousands of viewers. Before Offset even fully arrived at the party, Dean was already in the middle of something. He spoke to Dean the Great at one point of the party. Before Adrian started to press Dean for allegedly trying to take his drink away, but that drink story, that was the surface level version. What was actually going down was a lot more charged than a drink dispute. Adrian Broner stepped in to stop Dean from trying to get at Offset's girl. Before Offset showed up to the party, Broner, a man who has his own very long history of chaos, was the one playing peacekeeper. He looked at what Dean was doing and made the call to intervene. That alone tells you how far out of line the situation had gotten. After footage of a fight breaking out at the event hit the internet, people immediately speculated as to what could have caused it. The clip spread fast. Comments, sections everywhere started filling up with takes. People trying to piece together who did what and why the night unraveled the way it did. After some commotion, folks started to scramble, shout, and try to find out what was going on, with a fight that broke out in the area. Broner and Finesse 2 Times were far from the altercation when it happened, and it seems like the streamer was as well. As for the former, but soon reuniting Mygo, he didn't show up in the clip of the fight that surfaced. So, the question sitting over everything was what exactly set it off, and how deep does the Dean and Offset situation actually go? The short answer is deeper than one party, because Dean the Great didn't just become this guy overnight. The full story of why this blew up the way it did and why Broner felt the need to physically intervene on Offset's behalf starts with who these people actually are and what kind of reputation Dean had already built for himself long before he walked into that Miami venue. Dean the Great and Adrian Broner have built a strong friendship over the years, collaborating not just for live events, but for boxing training, sparring, and big bits of content online. That relationship matters here. Broner wasn't just some random guy at the party. He and Dean were there together operating as a unit, streaming the whole night to their audience. In that context, the cameras, the viewers, the always-on energy of a live stream turns every little thing that happens into content into stakes. So when Dean spotted one of Offset's girls and decided to make a move, it wasn't just a private mistake, it was a public one. And Broner, for whatever his own reasons, wasn't going to let it play out. The internet caught it. Charleston White reacted. Social media exploded with reactions to the live stream situation involving Adrian Broner, Offset, and Dean the Great. And what started as just a party in Miami became a full news cycle. To understand why Dean the Great making a move on Offset's girl caused this much noise, you have to understand who Dean the Great is, and more importantly, what pattern of behavior he's built around himself. Boxer Dean the Great's real name is Nuruddin Shahed Shabazz. The 25-year-old recently appeared in Quinton Rampage Jackson's Double Date livestream, which didn't end well for him. That's a whole separate story, and we'll get to it. But the through line is already clear. Dean has a habit of showing up in someone else's space and immediately making things uncomfortable. Misfits Boxing's former champion Dean the Great had positioned himself as one of the promotion's breakout homegrown stars, scoring a slate of knockout wins that made him perhaps the only true boxing sensation to come from the original Misfits lineup. So on paper, the guy had something real going. He had a record. He had a platform he was building, but his fast talking kept landing him in hot water. And the moments where his mouth or his hands ran ahead of his judgment became a fixture of his online presence. The party clips, the live stream blow-ups, the confrontations that follow him from venue to venue. The most telling chapter before the Offset situation came during Rampage Jackson's Double Date live stream and his wife Shyla, and decided to act up. Dean boldly asked Shyla for a hug, clearly attempting to flirt with Will's wife right in front of him, prompting the 31-year-old to step in and shut it down immediately. Even Rampage Jackson intervened, trying to talk some sense into Shabazz, whom viewers speculated was heavily intoxicated. "Don't disrespect this mother of cur like that," Jackson warned Dean. That warning didn't land. Dean seemed determined to make a bad situation worse, arguing with Rampage and insisting he be allowed to do as he pleased. He declared that the wife was up for grabs, then moved toward her again. His patience finally snapped when Dean refused to back down and made another attempt to touch her. Wheels responded with a sharp slap across Dean's face, sending him stumbling out of the camera's frame. The clip went everywhere. The comments were merciless, and yet none of it seemed to recalibrate anything in Dean's approach to how he carries himself in social situations, because the Miami party with Offset happened after all of that. Notably, this is not the first time Dean the Great has displayed such behavior. That's the line that sits over his entire career at this point. Not his wins in the ring, not his streaming numbers, but the pattern, the reflex to push boundaries around other people's women in public, on camera, regardless of who else is in the room. And the Misfits boxing press conference is its own entry in that file. His fast-talking landed him in hot water as he continuously jabbed at the mother of rival Armando Vargas. During a press conference, fans expressed outrage on social media as the tasteless clip racked up views. So Dean arrived at that Miami party not as an unknown quantity. He arrived as someone the internet had already watched take an L at the hands of Larry Wheels, someone who'd been slapped on camera, someone whose reputation by that point was more about chaos than credentials. And still, he walked over to Offset's girl, which tells you something about the man's internal compass. To fully understand why the Dean situation stung the way it did in that party context, you have to understand where Offset's head was at in 2025 and what his personal life looked like coming off one of the most watched breakups in recent hip-hop history. Offset and Cardi B's divorce had been playing out in real time for over a year. Public messy, both of them airing fragments of it through music interviews and social media. The Migos rapper was making waves, not just with his music, but with whispers about his love life. Offset was rumored to be dating model Melanie Jada, with reports of them celebrating New Year's Eve in Dubai and spending $100,000 at a Chanel store. That Dubai trip was a statement. It said, "I've moved on. I'm good. Watch me." 5 months after his arranged wife, Cardi B, filed for divorce, the clout artist was spotted with Melanie Jada on New Year's Eve in Dubai, where he was in the Middle East for 3 shows and was quite the big spender, taking his rumored new flame to the Chanel store and allegedly being seen with purchases worth US $100,000. Videos circulating online from one of his concerts showed him kissing a woman, presumably Jada, mid-performance. Per TMZ sources, the pair had been seeing each other for weeks. And Amigos' rapper really digs her vibe, her style, and her company. So, by the time that Miami streamer party happened, Offset wasn't just some rapper in attendance. He was a man in the middle of rebuilding his personal life. Post-divorce with a woman he was clearly invested in. Even if neither of them had made anything fully official, that context matters enormously. Fresh off a viral moment on Complex's interview with a magician where he named Sabrina Carpenter as his celebrity crush, Offset's personal life was sparking all kinds of chatter. He was active, he was visible, and he was out here at parties with the woman he'd been linked to, which made Dean's decision to approach her that much more tone-deaf. Offset had not officially confirmed having a girlfriend, but fans strongly pointed to a budding romance with Atlanta-based model Melanie Jada. That ambiguity, not official, but clearly present, might be exactly the gap Dean tried to slide into. If nothing's confirmed, then technically nothing's off-limits. That's the kind of rationalization that gets people slapped. And the kicker is the Cardi B angle that hung over all of it. Card's new single, Outside, dropped in June 2025, takes aim at Offset with pointed lyrics about her new beau, NFL star Stefon Diggs. Offset was already operating under a microscope. Every move he made with a woman was being watched, analyzed, and weaponized in the ongoing public back and forth with his ex-wife. Offset had been seen with Sky Marlene, who also happens to be the ex-girlfriend of his ex-wife, Cardi B's new boyfriend, Stefon Diggs, amid their divorce. Some fans speculating this was an alleged revenge plot. That's the minefield Offset was navigating. And in the middle of all of it, Dean the Great decides to walk up to one of his girls at a party. The optics were bad. The timing was worse. The Miami party drama with Offset's girl turned out to be just one night in what became a weeks-long documented spiral for Dean the Great, and the footage kept coming. Dean was arrested in Miami-Dade County and charged with felony attempted robbery following an alleged altercation involving a woman aboard a yacht live stream featuring Broner. According to reports and police documents, the woman claimed Dean tried to grab her phone after she began recording him during an argument on the yacht. Dean, whose real name is Nuruddin Shabazz, was booked at the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center in Miami. Records listed the charge as felony robbery strong-arm attempt. TMZ reported the incident began after a woman named Destiny Alleman told police that Dean became upset while they were on a yacht because other men were allegedly speaking to her, despite him telling her not to entertain them. According to the police report, Alleman claimed the situation escalated after she exited the yacht and attempted to record the interaction on her phone. Investigators say Dean allegedly grabbed her forearm and attempted to take the device, leaving a minor scratch on her arm during the confrontation. Viewers watched the drama unfold hour by hour across yachts, party buses, pools, rented properties, and Miami nightlife locations. As the stream drifted further away from anything resembling normal, there was a second incident, too. A separate incident involving another woman also spread rapidly online after Dean reportedly ordered her off a party bus after learning her age. Clips circulating on social media allegedly showed the woman being escorted away before claims later surfaced online that she had been stranded near a highway following the argument. Broner was present during both incidents as the live stream continued almost around the clock, shutting down only briefly for sleep before cameras resumed again the next day. And then came the moment that nobody could look away from. Instead of distancing himself from the situation, Broner appeared to lean directly into it by arriving at the police station in free Dean gear while continuing to entertain viewers outside the jail. Per TMZ, Broner paid $2,500 for his fellow boxer's release. Dean walks out through a gated release area before immediately embracing model and internet personality Selena Powell waiting for him outside. The mood outside the facility looked like a happy reunion despite the looming legal drama with phones recording as the group gathered around Dean following his release. At one stage, Broner joked about Dean being overstimulated from spending time in jail before talking about dragging him straight back out for another night of partying. That quote tells you everything about the culture of that live stream world. The arrest wasn't a wake-up call, it was contempt. The jail stint wasn't a consequence, it was a plot point. And the audience watching at home got every second of it, from the altercation to the booking to the release live unedited. The scenes no longer resembled the career of a former four-weight world champion trying to rebuild his reputation. Broner looked more like a permanent cast member inside a live stream where every night somehow becomes stranger than the last. What happened in Miami didn't come from nowhere. And by the time you lay every piece of this story side by side, the party, the girl Broner stepping in, the yacht, the arrest, the jail drop-off, what you're looking at is not a one-off. It's a pattern that had been building for a long time. Dean had already been through the Larry Wheels situation. He'd already been slapped on camera for trying to get at someone's wife. What a motto Vargas could not teach Dean the Great inside the ring. Larry Wheels taught him outside of it. But even that didn't stick. Then came the Vargas fight, which Vargas convincingly won via unanimous decision. Dean's first career loss, and he hasn't fought since. So, here's a man who lost his undefeated record, got slapped on a live stream for disrespecting someone's wife, watched the clip go viral, and then walked into a Miami party and repeated essentially the same move. That's not recklessness. That's something closer to a compulsion. And in the world of live streaming, where every action is content, that compulsion has an audience that keeps rewarding it. Dean the Great had been involved in multiple incidents with fighters. The social media boxer, whose real name is Nuruddin Shabazz, was previously banned after threatening Exufer that's bans, slaps, arrests, a loss in the ring, and still the platform grows because in this economy, infamy and fame are basically the same currency in that dynamic. The way chaos becomes a content strategy is exactly what makes the Offset situation so instructive, because Offset isn't a live streamer. He's a rapper. He's a man who post-divorce is trying to move through the world with some kind of dignity and build something new on the other side of a very public split. One of the biggest stories swirling around Offset's love life was his recent appearance with Sky Marlene at an upscale Atlanta nightclub, which sent fans into a frenzy, with many speculating it was a calculated move by Offset to get back at Cardi. Everything Offset did in 2025 was getting read as a move in a chess game. Wandered into Offset's orbit and started making plays at his girl. He wasn't just crossing a personal line. He was crossing into a whole different world where the stakes are different and the fallout lands differently. Adrian Broner's own antics with women had resulted in a call-out from his ex-wife Ari Nicole, blasting him for making women uncomfortable. So even the guy who stepped in to stop Dean that night was operating with his own complicated record. When it came to exactly this kind of situation, that's the room we're talking about. Multiple people in it, all with receipts. Dean the Great has other online scandals to handle, whereas his friend is dealing with much heavier matters. That line from the coverage says it quietly, but it says it clearly. The two men in this story, Dean and Broner, are both deep in something, both generating content at a pace that has made their personal lives indistinguishable from their professional output. And Offset walked into that environment and Dean decided to test it. What happened at that Miami party is a collision between two different versions of celebrity. The legacy kind where your reputation is built over years and your relationships are personal, and the live stream kind where every night is content and nothing is ever really off camera. Dean lives in the second world. Offset has always lived in the first. And when those two worlds collide at a party in Miami with Broner in the middle and the whole internet watching, you get exactly this. The arrest came. Dean was arrested on a felony charge of robbery, strong-arm attempt after police say he allegedly tried to snatch a woman's phone during an argument outside a Miami yacht party. The charges are still pending. The clips are still circulating, and Dean the Great is still, by every available piece of evidence, living his life exactly the way he always has. The only question left is whether the consequences will eventually catch up to the content.